Hello, we're South Carolina Paranormal Team. I'm Ryan.
I'm Lisa.
Gil, Chris.
We're here to give you an in-depth look at who South Carolina Paranormal Team really are. We all started at some points in our lives with paranormal stories or experiences, and it's what got us into this. You know, we all have had different experiences, or etc., and so it all kind of came together, and you know, this idea was formed at some point to start this paranormal group. So we'd like to just kind of give you a little bit of insight about ourselves. Again, my name is Ryan, and I'm the youngin' of the group.
Yep.
And
That's a kid.
I haven't had a lot of personal paranormal experiences ever in my life. I didn't really have one to begin with until I was probably 18, and I went to Sheldon Church with Chris and somebody else, and I got to experience and hear things. Sheldon Church in Beaufort, which we have investigated a couple times. But personally, I've never had a whole lot to do with the paranormal as far as a ghost following me around or contacting me or anything of the such. But joining with the paranormal group, you know, has always been a fun experience, and I've always definitely believed that, you know, that the paranormal exists, and doing this has definitely, you know, proved it to me. And you know, this is something I really love doing. I'm very passionate about it. Chris, how about you?
Well, we started out with wrestling. Never had any intention on actually could do this other than a hobby maybe. But it has become something that we all passionately like. Love doing it.
Yep.
Still love wrestling, but that's another story. Lisa?
It's my turn. Yay. As you can see, I'm the only woman in the group. Most of the time. And I've really enjoyed my time so far with South Carolina Paranormal Team and my fellow founders here. I have to say that I've had a lot of, shall we say, paranormal experiences or some type of knowledge or awareness that there's something a little bit unknown, that we really don't have all the answers. Something maybe I don't quite understand's going on. I've experienced some ghostly activity personally. I've been to locations and done these little ghost hunts, which, you know, of course weren't really ghost hunts. They were just like you visit the cemetery, or you go this place or that place, and you have a little experience, or you hear stories about the place, so you go check it out, and it's just for fun. But what we do, we take very seriously. You know, every investigation, we go into it with an open mind. We take with us certain gifts or experiences or whatever, knowledge that we have learned, and we try to implement that into, as well as new technology and innovation, into everything we do. We're very conscious of our clients, should we have clients at certain locations. Very respectful. We always get permissions when we go and do these investigations if it's needed. We just absolutely love what we do. I do believe that there's a lot to the afterlife that we are unaware of. I think we have some basic knowledge of what happens after we die, but we just want to learn more and add something positive to the paranormal field. And if we can come up with something new, that's great. We do a lot of research. That's a lot of behind the scenes work that nobody knows what we're exactly doing before we make a presentation and make the videos that people get to see. And we pick our locations very carefully, and I think that all of us are very careful, cautious, intuitive, passionate, and all of the things that all paranormal investigators should be. We're 100% legitimate. We do not fake anything. We do not pretend. We do not add or subtract. Whatever we present is what you see.
That was the tape.
I just did y'all. I just made y'all's life a lot easier.
I was gonna think she covered the entire paper.
Okay, now you got to pass it to
Gil, did
me.
you talk?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. As you can see, I'm not only the genius of the photographer of the group, but I'm kind of the mouth of the group, being the only one. You kind of have to be. But anyway, Gil, would you have anything you'd like to add to this situation?
Ryan, what was the question that you asked?
Previous experiences.
We had previous
I just got on the roll.
Yeah, how did, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a previous experience. Chris was hitting it on the head here a while ago, was when we were wrestling up there in Barnville. And, I was going through the video and noticed that there was these white spots moving all over the place.
Orbs?
Orbs, yeah, orbs or whatever you want to call them. And then it wasn't just one or two, it was just like a whole flock of them going across.
Like a snowstorm.
And it was something that I couldn't explain. I talked to Ryan about it, talked to Lisa, talked to Chris about it, and I said, look at this. This is something paranormal down here. So that's where we first started at. We went there to Barnville. But my experience is this. And I'm gonna get choked up a little bit. But December 10th, I'm gonna get choked up. And we buried my little girl.
She died on December the 10th, 1987.
And
So it's been almost 30 years ago.
we went home from the funeral. I went to the house. And there was a light on in the house. And I asked Lisa, I said, did you leave a light on, Lisa? And she said, no. And it was the light was almost like an orangish glow in the middle of the front room. And then I went up to the door, unlocked the door, and opened the door up. And the glow was in the middle of the room glowing. And as soon as I got inside the trailer, it went up through the trailer roof. It disappeared. And that's my paranormal experience right there. That I think that was my daughter, her spirit there, letting us know she was okay. And that's why I'm in this group. We're Chris and Ryan, Lisa, we all want to get a full apparition.
We just want to know it's not just about our loved ones, although we have all lost somebody that we've loved. And I think that there's a deep part of us that wants to know we'll see them again and that they're all right. We miss them, but we also want to give answers and help other people. And I think that that is the thing. We want to let other people have answers to whether they're having a problem in their home and they want more answers as to these weird happenings that are occurring, or maybe that they just want to know a loved one's okay or whatever. But we feel very strongly that there is a lot going on, and it's not just the physical being alive like we are now, this physical world. There's a lot more that we can't explain, and I think that we're going to keep doing this as long as we can. We hope that the people who watch it, or just fans or whoever, will stay interested, and we don't mind others joining us on our investigations either, because we do like to get others' perspectives or point of views on what we're doing and opinions. We don't know everything, and we cannot necessarily say 100% legitimate that something's
100%.
paranormal, right? But we can give an opinion as to what we believe. But all other opinions and perspectives and experiences are welcome, and we want to keep talking to people, and we want to keep finding out about things and finding out what's going on that we can't see. Maybe we can't see it, we can't hear it, but there's just something else.
All right.
Chris?
Well, let me just say that I'm glad to be a part of this, just like I was with the wrestling. I'm with 3 of my best friends in the world, and probably 3 of my closest friends. There are a few more out there that do not live here that I know would be a part if they could. But I'm just happy to be with the people I am with. We have a good time, but we get serious when we need to get serious, but we do joke around a little bit too. But it's all in fun as far as that goes.
You'll see some bloopers, don't worry.
All right,
Okay.
you want to start with the first one?
Yes, sir. Right now, we'd, are we going to go with progress? Okay.
From the beginning to the end.
Yeah, sure. As far as, you know, the equipment that we use, when we referenced our first hunt that we did in Varnville, South Carolina at the Recreation Center. When we had our first experiences there, we had really no equipment. We had a camcorder, a camera, and an associate of ours had an app on his phone that was similar to a spirit box, in which that we used at the time to kind of have a hint that there was a spirit there, but we could not really verify 100% whether the app was accurate, but it did give us the idea that something was there. As previous reports of hearing footsteps, banging on doors,
Knocking off the Christmas.
yeah, something knocking on Christmas ornaments when they had a Christmas tree up. In fact, one particular story that Rebecca had told me was that the scoreboard suddenly came on out of nowhere. No one turned it on, nobody touched it. Her and her associate was standing there talking, just the scoreboard just cut on. So I was like, wow, that just can't happen on its own. You know, and so from then on, when we decided to get really serious about this, we looked into getting better equipment, and we upgraded into simple things like EMF meters and a spirit box and different forms of cameras and video cameras, digital recorders. And so, you know, we've definitely made a lot of strong progressions, but we're going to continue to buy more equipment and to make a bigger progression as time goes on. Looking into potentially cameras that are you don't have to use with your hands. Also night vision equipment, heat equipment would be very useful to us.
Thermal imaging would be an integral part of really catching something in real time that we can actually see right then with our eyes on the screen.
But the fun thing about it is the more high tech we'll get, the simple things that can be the key part of it. Because I did an investigation privately or personally when I visited a place in Florida, and all I had was my EMF meter and my digital recorder. So the EMF meter blinking proved to me there was a spirit there, but my digital recorder picked up a lot of static that came out of nowhere. The static couldn't have been created by anything that was around me. I could verify that. And so having just a basic digital recorder you can buy at Walmart, you know, I picked up something in that digital recorder. It wasn't some hundreds of dollars of equipment. It was a $40 or $60 piece of equipment. That was it. So the most basic of things, baby monitors even, pick up things in that. You know, you never know. Because it's not always possible you hear or see something with your own eyes or your ears, but, you know, we're hoping to also get some of that as well. You know. Gilbert?
Well, which way do we go?
Progress.
Either keep with progress or go
All
with
right,
specific
what,
hunts.
what the upgrades that we've gone to now is, like you were saying,
So much better than the first
full
time we went.
full spectrum camera
Mhm.
with night vision on
Definitely, yeah.
it, with the night lights, the IR lights, and it helps out a lot from what we started at. When we started, we couldn't get 2 foot away from us in the dark. Now we can get 10
couldn't see
foot.
unless we had a flashlight.
Now we can get 10 foot away from us, and we can see it just like it's daytime.
But let me also say that we don't always do things at night. We do things at daytime
Yep.
and still get stuff.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be
It
dark.
doesn't have to be dark. It's kind of ideal, technically speaking, but it is not absolute. You can get stuff just as easily in the daytime, depending on the location and when you go.
But the paranormal is not on a time schedule.
Very true.
They don't come
They're
out
not
on
on a
cue.
time schedule. They go anytime. It goes to show you that what we got at Pond Pond in Jacksonville was not at night. You know?
Well, they're in a different feeling, or the way that we live in time and space is not really how it is for them. So the way our conditions are, what they're observing is a little bit different.
And another thing too, we come across a couple of situations that is, what do you call them, residuals?
Mhm.
I think that we've had a lot of residual
Whereas
hauntings,
it's
possibly
almost like a repeat.
repeating type thing, yeah.
They're not aware of us.
Yeah, not aware of us, but it
But
keeps
then-
going.
Over and over again, it's like replayed.
Yep.
But we've also had some intelligent responses often
In real time.
in real time.
I mean, ask a question and bam.
And we can
It's
hear
right
it.
there.
Right back at you.
Exactly.
So, and that's really awesome when we get that, and they actually interacting with us and have a conversation, and that's what we strive for.
And that's where the spirit box comes in, to actually have a real-time conversation with a spirit or anything.
Chris?
What else we can talk about?
Pacific hunts.
Well, I guess we can talk about Eddie's Toe, where I was actually the only member so far that's been touched.
Mhm.
I looked around to see if there was a limb or something that touched me on the shoulder. There was nothing there. So
No
I guess
moths, nothing.
I was more than a little spooked, even though that's what we were there for.
Yeah, we sadly didn't get any footage of it because he was behind us.
Nothing
but
on the
it-
camera.
Yeah.
Well, we got the footage of when we turned around, and his face,
His
his
reaction was like,
reaction told you everything
Mhm.
that happened to him.
And I'm a very quiet person most of the time, low key. So it was very unexpected, but kind of glad I had it happen now.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't scratch me or harm me, or any of us for that matter. I'd like to have that happen again.
Edisto has definitely been our favorite destination thus far. We visited it a total of 3 times now.
Yes.
And
Hot spot.
since the first time we ever went there, we laid the EMF meter down by a family mausoleum and have got instant activity at it. And have gotten numerous sounds from there. A couple decent pictures that look kind of, interpretive and questionable. But the last time we went there, we were all standing by that mausoleum and verbally heard a voice come out of the mausoleum. It was probably definitely one of the most thrilling things that happened to us as far as, like I said, hearing something with your own ears or seeing something with your own eyes. And we even have the footage from a couple cameras and a couple audio devices with that same noise on it. So not like we heard it and didn't hear it on the devices. We have full proof that we heard a voice. It was so quick and so sudden, but we all heard it, and it was pretty amazing. So
That was something that you never forget. You
Yeah.
never forget what happened there.
definitely.
And all. Chris getting touched that afternoon. And all. I'm gonna change the subject. We're sitting here and talking about our ghost hunts and everything else. Well, we're missing one of our members. And Chris, you wanted to say this, right? We're missing one of our members, Shane. What's Shane's last name?
Freeland.
Okay, Shane Freeland.
Michael Shane Fralin.
Yeah, and he was a big help to us on every hunt that he went. He went on 3 hunts with us. He could video, he could record.
Very
he could
intelligent.
investigate the recording, bring out what was the best parts and what was the bad parts.
And he was good at interpreting and evaluating and helping us with that.
Yeah, we do miss him.
He
We
passed
miss
away.
him a lot.
Yeah, passed away January of this year, 2017, and hadn't really been the same without him. I mean, he was great, and he will always be cared for and missed, and
I'm sure
No.
he's going to hunt with us right now.
we hope so.
You know, because
Probably.
he would have that green shirt on and that band, that little,
I called him
And
Ninja
down.
Turtle, to be honest, because he looked like a Ninja Turtle, but, Anyway, we do miss Shane very much.
all right, and then another point is that the very first time that we had the EMF go off, at any point, we probably had it a week before it went off. I think, something like
I
that.
think almost like a month or two, actually.
Yeah.
We had it a little
And
while, we were
never-
wondering, does it really
We
work?
was wondering whether it worked or
Yeah.
not. So we was out at a local
Cemetery.
cemetery, and it was probably about what time would you say?
It was late at night, right before we
It was,
quit.
it was
It was
dark.
about,
It was dark.
about 10, maybe,
Mhm, something like that.
10, and,
PM.
yep, and the EMF meter went off, and we was amazed.
We were like,
Wow.
it works,
It-
yay!
It finally works.
Mhm.
So it's
Then we
not
turned
fuzzy.
around and went to Eddystone after that.
That's when it went off
And
a
that's when
lot.
it went off a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we got so much EMF there at Eddystone that we were looking around for wires. And overhead electrical wires. There's no wires over there where we're at.
No.
The worst place that I'll have to say about EMF is the Pond in Jacksonboro.
Very much so.
What would you
There's
say?
probably a reason why. I mean, you had the big, powerful power lines nearby, and I think that kind of made the spirits not come close.
And I'm gonna tell you, it
To
just,
seal it.
it was, pegging it out when we was right there where we parked the cars. And then at the church, it was up to a 4 at the church. So,
If there was any activity at Pond Pond, was very little because of all that EMF from the power lines,
Yep.
definitely.
Magno-electron, I can't even say it.
electromagnetic
fields,
fields.
Lord help me. Yeah, I think that it was so much voltage, electricity, because it was miles and miles of electrical lines, and it looked like that there were abandoned houses there, like people had lived there and moved away. So I'm thinking that the electricity was so intense and predominant through that area with many transformers that we were getting false readings while we were there. And I didn't really get a lot of feelings while we were there that something strategic was going on. I didn't feel like there's a lot of paranormal activity here, something going on, not really.
But we were, as soon as we got down the road, we was going up to it, he was holding the EMF meter and it was going off.
Exactly.
But the thing about it is, that brings me to a mention of a photograph.
Yep, go right ahead.
Good.
And we went on an investigation there. Again, this is in Jacksonboro at Pond Pond. And I photographed, took many, many photos, didn't see anything too weird when I was doing it. I have a DSLR camera, it's a Canon, it's a nice camera. I didn't notice anything at the time that really kind of made me stop. So we concluded our investigation, and I had came home and went through the pictures to evaluate them and edit them, look through them. And I noticed a strange anomaly. So after that, I kind of talked to Gil about it and showed it to him, and I'm like, you need to look at this. And so he did, and we were like, wow. And so then the next thing, of course, is sharing it with Ryan and Chris and getting their opinions as to what they thought it could be. I didn't see it with my eyes, nor did they. At this particular hunt, Shane was also there. Well, to make a long story short, Chris was unable to attend, but Ryan and myself and Gil went back to try to replicate the weather and the time of day when the original one was taken, photographed, and we were unable to replicate it. So we pretty much kept looking over the photograph, looking over it and evaluated it, and we have no scientific, reasonable, or logical explanation as to what it is, other than to say it is some type of an unknown mist, possibly paranormal, in our opinion.
Yep.
Definitely the best photo we've ever
And
taken.
the reaction to it, when you had it on your phone, the reaction to the people looking at it, what would they say?
Yeah, I tell you, I talk about, because I'm so into this, I talk about this whole hobby of mine quite a bit to people at my job or anybody who just has a particular interest in it. And so I often show people the photo in which Lisa took. I have a copy of it on my phone, and people will say, oh, wow, that's neat, or it's interesting. Some people just say, oh, okay, and then, that's okay, that's just their opinion, we're open-minded, and, someone doesn't have to believe if they don't wish to, it's fine. Showing this picture to people, it's kind of a thrill because it's, just showing my interest in this, and that, it's saying that if you maybe, some people say they kind of believe, but showing people this picture, they go, wow, whoa, and then now I kind of believe, so I could definitely, like you said, something that's not replicated, it's something that wasn't the sun or wasn't false, it's just a quick lucky shot Lisa took, and we caught something, and so we hope to capture more photos like that. It'd be great to see a face in a picture, or to see a body in a picture.
Or actually to see a full-bodied
Full-bodied
apparition, if
apparition,
one
yes.
is there, especially if it's been
It doesn't
previously
have to-
reported.
It doesn't have to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Just
not
to
going to
see
be
the
a
shape,
clear, as
just
long
to
as
know.
it's a shape and something that we can see,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that would be the thing, instead of taking a picture and not seeing anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, because outside of pictures, the best evidence we've ever had has definitely been audio. Whether we've caught audio through digital recorders or
Great
through
EVPs.
cameras, through digital cameras. And so one particular place that we visited was Rivers Bridge Battlefield in Olar, South Carolina, literally in the middle of nowhere. But these Civil War battles were fought there. You know, and virtually anywhere where a Civil War battle was fought, there's usually typically something spiritual or paranormal involved. And so we decided to check it out. We've been there a total of, what, 3 times now?
3
Exactly,
times,
yes.
3
And-
times.
And each time we've been there, we've caught at least something really good audio related. The first time we went on the video camera, we heard a very faint whisper of someone saying, we believe it said, "I'm dead and in the graveyard." It's a pretty long sentence, and you had to slow it down and really listen to it. This sounded specifically like that. It sounded really good because there was a cemetery not far from there, you know, and so being a battlefield, they've got a cemetery, of course. I didn't get a chance to go the second time around, so anything happened out of the second time when I wasn't there?
The second time around, Lisa was at the water, and I'll let you tell them.
I was at the water, standing there, and the others were, you know, kind of back from me, and we actually had some extra people come to that investigation, and he was unable to come. I think he had to work, but we did have some extra people there, and I was standing at the river conducting an EVP session with a spirit box and SB7, and I was speaking to the soldiers, hoping for some type of response and thanking them for their service and the sacrifices that they had made. And in response, I got an intelligent answer, and it was very clear. Everyone heard it, and they said, "Any time." So basically like a thank you, but anytime. And I almost started crying because I was so thrilled to have gotten that. But the original Battle of Rivers Bridge was February 2nd and 3rd, 1852. So we started going there in 2016 and again in 2017. So it's been over 150 years ago that the battle was actually fought. And one side was, you know, very outnumbered from the other side, and it was really bad, and it was a very brutal, bloody battle. And I feel, my opinion, y'all can concur or not, that there's definitely some paranormal activity going on at Rivers Bridge, that there is still some either residuals, there are some intelligent spirits there, I think, and they know that we're there. I think that they were cut short, they were cut, you know, off in life very, very quickly, very, very suddenly. Dying like they died was it's just a terrible, terrible thing what they endured in place, and I do think that there's something going on there, and we really do like to let them know that they're not forgotten about, and we realize what they've been through, and go and visit, try to speak with them. If they want to talk to us, they can. But we've gotten a lot of answers, I think. Answers, basically, from them, talking with them.
The third time we had went, I left the digital recorder on a stump where we left some of our equipment, and you know, it picked up a lot of even our voices walking well over, you know, I can't estimate how many feet we walked away. We were a good ways away from this, you know, meter. I mean the recording device, and you heard our voices, so you know it was us. We didn't hear any strange, odd voices, but it was such a windy day when we went, so you could hear the wind really strongly gusting into the recorder with a strong whoosh, 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 you know. And I remember when I went back and listened to the evidence, at some point you heard no wind, but I heard what sounded like a strong exhale, like a person's exhale,
Like a breathing out.
like that.
And we weren't over there.
And no, we were nowhere near the device, and it sounded. I had to listen to it multiple times to depict that wasn't the wind, which it was not, I don't believe. And you know, what sounded like a strong, deeply sigh or exhale. And so it just concludes the fact that we've gotten a lot of audio evidence there at Rivers Bridge, if not any visual or, you know, picture evidence, you know, which I guess would be visual. You know, and so we hope to go back there again sometime. Like we try to visit most places 2 to 3 times.
Yep,
At least.
at least 3 times, you know. But, the next one on the thing would be the pond.
In St. Helena.
St. Helena.
Go St.
What-
Helena.
What, the story is that why we really started St. Helena was because of the light. The
Oh,
St.
yeah,
Helena
the
light.
St. Helena's light.
Yeah,
yes.
we were
Lands
going-
End.
Lands
Lands
End,
End
Lands End
light.
light, yes.
And we was going down there for that, but it was so much traffic, y'all.
Mhm.
And so.
And we didn't know what part of the road to even stop at and try to
so
see the light.
noisy. It was noisy around there.
Mhm.
So,
It's in a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's in a.
Basically.
It's surrounded by a big subdivision, I would say.
Yeah.
so
Neighborhood.
activity is much, so we decided to visit the little church that's
And-
there.
and we-
Pon Pon Chapel's there.
We got there and we investigated it. We went there twice. The first time we went, me and Ryan was going to the church. And when I got inside the church, stepped into the door, I smelled like fresh oysters.
Mhm.
And then I asked Ryan if he had smelled it, and it did smell.
I did about 2 seconds after he did. He'll smell it, and then I started to sniff the air, and I smelled what smelled like, he said, strong presence of oyster smell.
Oysters.
It's very possible that the smell could have passed through the air, but it had to have been pretty close.
And we weren't like real near the water where that chapel is either.
Or even if someone was cooking something outside, we had to have been pretty much right on where it was. So we smelled the smell, you know, it was like, and it only happened for maybe a few seconds.
Yep.
And you know, as noted in one of our videos, the church itself has seashells in the wall, so I put my nose to the wall to make sure I
Abby.
could smell if the residual smell was coming off those walls, and I smelled nothing. You know, so that smell lasted a couple seconds, and we only smelled it right there in front of us, and didn't come off of anything that we know of.
And it was right there in the church. That's what got me.
Yeah.
The one outside the church was in the
Inside.
church.
Well, the remains of it.
The remains of the church, yeah. As soon as we walked right in the door, the side door, you know.
And that was when Ryan climbed into an empty mausoleum.
I did.
He
Mhm.
did.
Yeah, but we didn't
I
get
was
much
like-
off of that night.
There was nothing in the mausoleum,
No.
you know, as far as any
The bodies
activity.
were gone too,
Yes, the bodies were removed from the mausoleum.
because people had kept breaking in there and thinking there's treasures on the bodies and jewelry or whatnot. They kept breaking in, so they ended up moving the bodies. But I still didn't want him to climb in there, but he did anyway.
I'm the crazy one.
He,
I'll throw some pictures up there on that. And then the next thing that we got from there was, when we were there at night, was we were in the church, and you see people talking about hearing singing when you're in the church, you hear singing and everything else,
in real life,
and, you know,
for
and
life.
you hear through your own ears.
Uh-huh.
But we were there with the camcorder and the digital recorder and the night vision and all, and we actually got like I'd say somebody trying to get a tempo, like la 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 la, like that, going up and down.
He shouldn't really do that.
No, I
He
shouldn't do
really
that,
shouldn't
really, but that is actually
Please
what-
don't do that
what it
anymore.
sounded like
Please
to
don't
me.
do that again.
Ryan, you heard it, what did you think it sounded
I
like?
didn't hear it in person, of course, like he alluded to, but going back on the footage and listening to it, it was through the video camera. I had just said something and to get a response out of the spirit box, and we played it back numerous times, and what I heard it sounded like vocalization for singing, sounded like a humming, sounded like a you know, like he said, it kind of like someone gaining a scale in their note. It's just like maybe
practicing.
opening singing, but
What do you think, Chris? Did you listen to it?
I didn't hear that one.
You didn't hear that, okay.
Don't pay him no attention, he old.
pass.
Pass. We pass on him.
But we've had some enjoyable times
Very much so.
with different
Locations.
locations and stuff.
Situations and people.
But this is
and-
just a small snippet of it.
Mhm.
We've been a lot of places,
Over the last 2 years, well, yeah, right at 2 years now.
and we've been to Savannah. We were down in Savannah too.
Kind of just
But we didn't
scoping it
get
out.
into the graveyard over there where like they got 40,000 people buried.
There's famous people buried at the Colonial Park Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia. We have been on the outside. We didn't catch it while it was open, but we do plan on returning, although at this time we plan on mostly remaining in the state of South Carolina on location. We may expand later, but we will probably go back to Savannah, Georgia in the near future and kind of add that one in to kind of find out more, because I do believe that there's probably something going on there. Pretty old cemetery.
And I can't remember what I was gonna say now.
Old people, God.
Oh my God, now that shows you what's going on with me.
We're always on the lookout for new locations as far as researching different haunted destinations in the state, whether it be local or future hunts or investigations, particularly in the upper part of the state or the midland parts of the state. I used to live in the upper corner of the state myself, near the Clemson area. And, you know, back then I had heard little bits and ghost stories about things that go on in that area, so I can bring that information to the group and say we should investigate these places once we research them a little bit more, and hopefully find something there. And, you know, definitely, you know, hopefully it stays interesting.
I definitely want to try other places. I mean, I love the Low Country, and we'll always be here, whether it's Beaufort or Charleston or even where we're from, Waldeboro, Somerville area. But we want to try other places too.
So we're gonna always be looking for new places.
There's a lot of history just in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things happen in South Carolina. A lot of battlefields happen in South Carolina. A lot of Indian wars happen in South Carolina. Charleston, the hanging tree in Charleston, the old jailhouse in Charleston. There's endless possibilities. There's pirates that got hung right there at the Battery. There's ghosts that's still around in some of the taverns around Charleston that I've heard of. I mean, it's just endless possibilities. But I'll tell you this. We love what we do. We're passionate about it. And if anybody has anything that they want us to investigate anywhere, just give us a call. We'll be there.
Give us a call, catch us on Facebook. As time goes on, we'll be going more and more public with what our group or our team does. You're gonna hear our name a whole lot more.
Hopefully.
Your
Yes, I hope
interest
so.
is greatly appreciated. Please support us in all of our future endeavors, and we love our fans. Anybody else got anything to add?
No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Check us out.